Do you want a build that won't get sniped by a long physical attack off screen, critting you? Or one-shotted you when you made a small mistake like dodge rolling the wrong way into a bunch of bodies or corpse explodes? Maybe you tripped into a pack of monsters or something? GGG finally listened to all those frustrated by one-shots. I made this minion build to utilize the new defenses accessible to us in the Fate of the Val League to create a slower but safer clear for hardcore players who want to be able to make mistakes here and there without losing your character over something random feeling. Or maybe you're just a high level minions player in standard and you want to be able to farm easily without worrying about losing your XP. Or maybe you just want a tanky build in general. If you find really good endgame gear, the build can be a lot faster if you decide you don't need all the defenses, but I think you're going to want all the defenses. The build's strongest points are its defenses, damage, and it's very easy to fit rarity into this build, while its weak points are its early game and clear speed. The early game can be quick if you have good starting gear, but if you're starting the season hardcore solo self-found like myself, you will need to remain pretty focused. Basically, how the season started for me was I saved up for a scepter so I could start gas bombing with flame wall right away. Got as much minion damage as I could, getting mind over matter along the way to make sure I don't get one shot in between bosses. Killing the bosses right away isn't really a problem with gas bomb if you layer them right. The time of this recording, I believe I'm in the top 40 hardcore solo self-found, and I still haven't found any minion skills amulets at level 96, so if I didn't have any problems killing the bosses right away without that amulet, which is one of the main pieces of the build, you should have no issues with this. When I got to maps, I took most of the damage nodes out, replacing them mostly for defensive nodes, and I used the lower res and frostbomb curses combined with the sigil of power to make up for most of the damage. This means that for this build, you're going to want to use caster minions ideally. I recommend things like It That Guards, Powered Zealots, Storm Mages, Frost Mages, just anything that works with the sigil. If you want to see how I do this with melee tank, let me know, and we can make a melee minions tank video. Now, you won't need to use Elemental Weakness and Frostbomb forever, as once we get endgame items like Rakiata's Flow, high-rolled Ever-Grasping Rings, we can make use of things like the Withered effect and Temporal Chains, and it'll give us a lot of chaos damage, and since we won't need to lower the res anymore, the Temporal Chains just makes any area you cast it in an instant clear, even if you don't press any buttons. Minion Mercenary Tree. So you do need to take a lot of attributes at the start, but later on you can get a jewel that will turn all of that into strength ES, which makes this build insanely tanky, especially if you're on a trade league and you'll be able to acquire that a lot easier. But the most important things that you'll see on here besides the ES and armor is one, this node right here, which will make your energy shield recharge rate increase from all of these armor nodes that we're getting. We need 3 nodes. Armor applies to elemental, those 2. With this. And then ideally we would be using this. I just haven't found a +2 minion headpiece yet, which is why I'm not using this, but I would recommend having a fantastic runic helmet. And you would want one that looks similar to this shield as your helmet. Obviously you would want +2 minions on it, but triple armor with armor applying to elemental damage. And since we're Chaos Enoch, armor applying to elemental damage applies to all damage. So we have 8,742 elemental armor on top of having higher than normal maximum reses and a decent amount of energy shield. And the icing on the cake is that we are immune to critical hits via gem studded, so we do not need to have the ridiculous crafting of having everything else you want on your chest piece and all that for reducing the crit bonus. This is why it is so good on solo self-found. You get a lot of damage to make up for how far you're pathing, so it doesn't matter that you're on a different ascendancy. The +2 skills, the quality, it gives you more than enough damage. If you want more, integrated efficiency now works with minions, so he has a lot of damage nodes in his tree. But for hardcore, you'll find that this node is extremely powerful. Whether you're tripping into a pack of breach monsters or you're just getting hit by green lasers and it's draining your ES, having this elemental armor stacking with overcapped reses, crit immunity, and block chance will make all those rapid hitting times super easy to tank. You'll actually be able to look away from your screen and not worry about being one-shot. Unless you're on a map with water hags. So how does this work exactly? It's really quite simple. We're stacking ES from these 3 pieces. We will be getting ES from the armor helmet from that node, but we're going to be ES, 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 armor, armor, armor. The boots will be applying armor from the node, even though they're ES. The armor helmet will be giving us ES, even though it's armor. The armor applying as elemental on our helmet and shield will stack with the armor applying to elemental from the tree, and the amount of armor we're getting will be increased by all of our armor and energy shield increased nodes, as well as the increased defenses from shield. All of this stacking together makes for a very tanky one for me, and what I'm seeing from the new nodes this season, I believe this build will be capable of having 20,000 elemental armor, 90 fire res, along with a above max cold and lightning res, and at least 15,000 hit points at the same time. This should be more than enough to tank anything you could be worried about exploding you. For the longest time, I did need to be extremely attentive, very safely gas bombing from a distance, casting my lower res and frost bomb between dodges. But as you can see, once you get really far in your endgame and you start to get those really good items, you can clear whole maps without even pressing a button if you're really not that focused. All the other defenses that we just talked about with temporal chains on top, and you basically can't die anytime you're standing in a temporal chains you've placed. The enemies will attack so slow you'll be able to tank all of their first strikes, and your energy shield will recharge before their next strike. Make sure you don't overestimate your defenses though. Even if you have Black Scythe training and you have 15,000 energy shield and you have more perfect jeweler orbs than me, so you have more maximum res, and you have the correct helmet, so you have 20,000 elemental armor, even with all that, stuff like the hag is still going to drown you. The essence monsters, if you have the node that adds modifiers as essences, so you could have one monster with 6 essence auras, stuff like that's going to drain you pretty quick. You're going to have time to react and pause with this build because you can't be crit, but it doesn't mean you should ever 100% let your guard down. This build just requires way less guard than most. You can be paying very little attention and not really have much problems. Alright, if I'm missing something that would make me a lot more tanky, or you just want to talk to me about builds, let me know down below. Or let me know in my stream. I might be streaming right now. And yeah, thanks for watching.